Hey yo, what's the deal? You know who it is. It's the Don. Cheer! Tony Teflon. House Teflon. We pull the strings. Cheer! And I really wasn't gonna drop nothing right now. I was just gonna wait for the next episode and stuff like that and do something. But I figured, we gonna do a little something to pass the time and stuff like that. So basically, what I could do, I want to talk about the Night's King. Now, before, obviously, I thought when I first looked at it and stuff like that, that it was a woman. It did look like a woman. I don't care what anyone says. Or maybe I just thought it was. I was just thinking about the female others and stuff like that. So I really wasn't anticipating them showing the Night's King. But obviously, that is the Night's King. But it's obvious. And that's the whole thing about Game of Thrones. When you look back, and after that happened, I did some research, and you look back and you start figuring things out, and it's pretty obvious. And that's how it is in Game of Thrones. If you miss one thing, overlook one detail or anything else, you miss it. So it was there the whole time in the text. So what we have to do, I think we take from it is that, which I take from it is that a lot of these stories we have to, is going down with John, these little stories that are supposed to be just stories. Most of them probably are true. So, but you could also see it that obviously that the White Walkers are Craster's kids. All right, and when I mean White Walkers, I don't mean the reanimated zombies. All right, not them. All right, I mean the White Walkers. As I say one word, would say White Walkers. It sounds better. I mean the White Walkers, the people turning people into zombies, reanimating these zombies. All right. So they are Craster's kids, all right, like that. So we know that because it says in the text, and it says right here in the text, Gilly was crying, me and the babe, please, I'll be your wife, like I was Craster's. Please, Sir Crow. He's a boy, just like Nella said he'd be. If you don't take him, they will. They, said Sam, and the raven cocked its black head and echoed, They. The boy's brothers, said the old woman on the left. Craster's sons. The white coals rising out there, Crow. I can feel it in my bones. These poor old bones don't lie. They'll be here soon. The sons. And there you have it. So obviously, when the White Walkers come around, it gets cold. They bring the cold. She could feel it. And that's who she's talking about, Craster's sons. So Craster's sons are the White Walkers. So that's what they are. But it's weird because, the Night's King, I had to do a whole thing on the Night's King and really get into the Night's King and stuff like that. So, but basically you gotta ask yourself, what does this mean? I guess it means that the main protagonist, the main person that is going to be the person we have to beef with here is the White Walker, is the Night's King. Which is crazy to me because the Night's King is really a human. So why are the humans able to rule these White Walkers? So it poses the question to me, what's the end game in this? So to me, just a quick thing I had to think of, it has to be, the White Walkers had to be their own race. Obviously there was a woman White Walker at one time. I think that when the Night's King was defeated, it doesn't say he was killed until he was defeated. So he was defeated. I think he just lost the battle. The woman, I believe, was killed. He retreated. I think that's what he's searching for, is for the woman to be resurrected. I think they can't reproduce any other way but to take human sacrifices until they get a woman. And I think that's what they're after, to get the woman to come back and stuff like that. So, I don't know. That's my opinion on it and stuff like that. Also, I had to say about, I heard someone say something about, the swords and stuff like that. Something about the swords or something like that. The ice was. To me, those two swords that are Widow's Wail and the other one, Oathkeeper, those swords are House Stark swords. So I think that they're going to go back to the House Stark people. I think the smaller one obviously will go to Arya. And Widow's Wail, I think that's her sword. That's why they made it small. And I think Oathkeeper is going to be is Rickon's sword. And he's going to keep his oath when he gets that. to take the North back and stuff like that. Because Rickon will be, in the end, the king of the North. Alright, so going from that, we are going to go and do a couple of dreams. We'll start with Bran's dream and see how that goes, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So a lot of these dreams, I think people should get them, but just in case you didn't, we'll go through. So this is Bran's dreams, alright? We'll go through a couple of them. Alright. He saw his mother sitting alone in the cabin, looking at a blood-stained knife on the table in front of her, as the rowers pulled their oars and Sir Roderick leaned on a rail, shaking and heaving. A storm was gathering ahead of them, a vast, dark, roaring lashed by lightning, but somehow they did not see it. Alright, so this is Catelyn and Roderick traveling on the Storm Dancer to King's Landing. Alright, obviously we see that Roderick is seasick, alright, and that's why he's heaving. Alright, and then that's why you see Bran sees him shaking. The storm, I would have to say, is probably like they're gonna storm problems are brewing. But it could also be taken as that the storm could be Theon that comes over into Winterfell, which would also lead to why Roderick would be seasick too, because he gets killed by Theon. So I guess it could be taken those two ways and stuff like that. So those are the ways I would take those. Alright. Next one. He saw his father pleading with the king, his face etched with grief. He saw Sansa crying herself to sleep at night. He saw Arya watching in silence and holding her secrets in her heart, hard in her heart. There were shadows all around them. One shadow was dark as ash, with the terrible face of a hound. Another was armored like the sun, golden and beautiful. Over them both loomed a giant in armor made of stone. But when he opened his visor, there was nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood. Alright, so right here I think that first you see the father pleading with the king. So I think that is Eddard talking about Lady. He didn't want Lady to die. So I think the next two scenes all go in together with that. Sansa crying because Lady is going to die, and Arya mad because Lady is going to die because Lady didn't do anything, and mad because the hound rode down her friend and just killed and brought him back and stuff like that. Now the shadows really are the gist of this thing right here. It can be taken two ways, alright? This could be just taken literally that there are three shadows that way, or it could be taken that the shadows are Arya's secrets, alright? Because it says, he saw Sansa crying herself to sleep at night, and he saw Arya watching in silence and holding her secrets hard to her heart. There were shadows all around them. So it could be taken from that the shadows all around them meant the secrets in her heart. To me, I can't really go with that because I don't know how many secrets she had at that particular time. At that time, I think the only secret she had was that she had a needle. Obviously, it wasn't a secret that what happened to the butcher's boy, because she said that. So I can't see it being anyone. So the one shadow was dark as ash with a terrible face of the hound. I think that is the hound. I don't see how that can't not be the hound. It has to be. Another was armored like the sun, golden and beautiful. I think that is Jaime Lannister. Alright, the reason why I think that's Jaime Lannister is because Cersei, obviously his twin, and they've always described as being the same, is described multiple times, especially at the Dance with Dragons, the final chapter, the prologue out there, when Kevin is thinking about her, and every time he thinks about it, he always talks about it being golden as the sun when she was blossoming, and when her flower bloomed, she was more radiant as golden as the sun, which is kind of, disgusting that an uncle would think about niece's flower blooming and stuff like that. But it is what it is anyway, you know what I mean? But for that reason, that's why I think it is. Now, the last one. Over both of them, a giant in armor made of stone. but when he opened his visor, there was nothing but darkness and thick black blood. Now, I've heard people say that they thought that this was Littlefinger because of the Titan of Bravos, and he's over both of them. And you know, that I do agree. That sounds good and everything else, and I understand why. But at this particular time, and the reason why I think those people who think that are wrong, at this time, I just don't think that he holds any value in their life. I mean, he does kind of and stuff like that, but not really enough that they would put that together. I think this whole thing, grouping these people together, is, and the last person is the Hound. I mean, it is the Mountain, and I can't see it not being Gregor Clegane. I mean, he's taller than everybody else, so that's why I think he's over top of them. All right, Armor, the giant in armor made of stone. I mean, his nickname is the Mountain, so I would think that him being in stone armor would mean that he's a mountain. All right, so I think that sometimes you may overthink it and put Peter Baelish in there with, you know, I do think a prophecy does mean Peter Baelish later on, but not this one, and it does mean a giant, but not this one. This one, armor made of stone, giant. This is Sir Gregor Clegane, and the visor, obviously, Littlefinger doesn't wear any type of visor or anything like that. So, and when he opens it, it's nothing but darkness and black blood. Obviously, when he gets resurrected, this blood is described as thick and black. So specifically, so I just think you have to just go with that right there, and that is the three people. And I think the reason why this means, I think what it means is, I think that the only people that are going to be able to defeat the Mountain in this form will be Gregor Clegane and Jaime Lannister at the same time. I think they'll have to duel to defeat him. And I think that's why they're put there. Jaime with his one hand, and him and his brother, it's going to take both of their effort to kill him. And I think that's why he's there. And all that. Alright, so it goes, next one. North and north and north he looked, to the curtain of light at the end of the world. And beyond that curtain, he looked deep into the heart of winter. And then he cried out, afraid, at the heat of the tears that burned on his cheek. Now you know, the crow whispered as he sat on his shoulder. Now you know why you must live. Why, said Bran, not understanding. Falling, because winter is coming. So I think that basically is showing Bran go into the land that's always winter. And I think that like the tears are burning him. I think that it's, you know, like if you ever go outside when your feet become, you know, your kid, you're playing outside in the snow, and you know, you're sleigh riding all day, you don't realize how cold you are until you start taking off, you know, your 15 pairs of socks and everything else. And you start doing that, and then you go and you take your feet and you put them on the heater because they're so cold, and then it hurts and it burns you. I think that's what it is. I think it's so cold over there that the heat of the tear is actually burning his face and stuff like that. But I think that's meaning that Bran is the one who has to go to the land of always winter. He has to go over there. He has to journey to the land that's always winter. And I think that's what that means, personally, and stuff like that. Now, here's the next one. I dreamed about a crow last night. The one with 3 eyes. He flew into my bedchamber and told me to come with him. So I did. I went down to the crypts. Father was there, and we talked. And he was sad. Why was that? Lewin peered through his tube. It was something to do about John, I think. The dream had been deeply disturbing, more than any other of the crow dreams. Alright, so I think this basically ties into John's dream and stuff like that. You know, John has basically a reoccurring dream and stuff like that. So I think it means the same thing. So go right to John's dream. I was walking down this long empty hall, opening doors, shouting names. The castle is always empty. The stables are all full of bone. That always scares me. I start to run, then throwing open doors, climbing the tower 3 steps at a time. screaming for someone, for anyone. And then I find myself in front of the door to the crypts. It's black inside. I can see steps spiraling down. Somehow, I know I have to go down there, but I don't want to. I'm afraid of what might be waiting for me. I scream that I am not a Stark, that this isn't my place, but it's no good. I have to go down anyway. So I start down, feeling the wall descend, with no torch to light the way. It gets darker and darker until I want to scream. And that's when I wake. Alright, so I think that both of those are the same place. That's the crypts underneath Winterfell. And I think that the fact that it's reoccurring to Jon, meaning that it's something important down there. So what I think it means is that there's something in the crypts of Winterfell that tells Jon his parentage. Now I know I did a video in Jon's birthright, and I did at least 3 of them. I had to do 3 of them just to explain the point. And I put forth who Jon's parents could be and stuff like that. Now, if you listen to the first video I did, and probably the other ones I keep mentioning, that I believe that Jon's parents are Rhaegar and Lyanna. And the reason why I believe that is because the fact that George R. R. Martin said that the guys who do Game of Thrones guessed it, I don't think that they're sitting there as in depth as we are going through it, that they would think all the way down that they would get the parents, unless it was easy enough for them to get. And I think easy enough is that Rhaegar is Jon's father. You also get that from here. You find Jon, he's walking down there, right? It's black inside, but he could see the steps going down. Also, you have Bran saying he's having the conversation with his father. So Bran knows already. He just can't recall it, but he will recall it because he's having this conversation with him. And he's sad. And what he's sad about is that his daughter, his sister is dead and stuff like that. And you see that when Jon goes down there, he has to go down there. He screams. He says, somehow I know I have to go down there, but I do not want to. I'm afraid of what might be waiting for me. So what's waiting for him? Next line is, I scream I'm not a Stark. Alright? So what's going to be waiting for him down there is he's saying he's not a Stark. This isn't his place, but he has to go. What's waiting for him is the fact that he is a Stark. He's Lyanna's son, but Rhaegar's his father. So something has to be down there to prove that Rhaegar is his father. So I can only see it being 2 things that could be down there. I know people think there's a dragon down there and everything else. I can only really see it being 2 things down there that are pointing towards Jon's paternity and stuff like that. First thing I would say, it's either Rhaegar's silver heart, because when it's described with Rhaegar all the time, he's always described to have that heart with him and stuff like that. So I got to figure that that heart really means something that would prove that that's his father. Or the second thing down there is he's saying he's not a Stark, he's going down there, is it's Rhaegar's armor is down there in that crypt and stuff. And that would prove that that's his, he's going to put his father's armor. Now you also know the prophecy of Jon in black armor, right? With Azor Ahai's sword, with the fiery sword. That's Rhaegar's armor on Jon right there, with the sword on. And because Jon is Azor Ahai. Because I guess people ask me, like I wasn't clear enough. Yes, Jon is Azor Ahai, unfortunately, and stuff like that. So I'm trying to see a new format I'm doing here. Whether I should keep these videos longer or shorter, whether people rather listen quick or not. So I probably could just cut this off right there and just do this short version of it, and just come back and do it. Now, if you want a longer videos, let me know in the comments. I'll do longer videos. If you like them this length, right in the middle, 20 minutes around there, let me know. And if you like them shorter, 10 minutes, I could do 10 minutes videos too. So as always, thank you for my new subscribers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what I mean? I really do appreciate it. We trying to do big things here. We trying to get that up. We trying to be somebody. We trying to make them recognize our name. Make them know who we are. Because we are the people's champ. Tony Teflon of House Teflon. The people's champion at this shit right here. You know what I mean? So hit your Twitter. Hit your Facebook. Tell your people about me. Share my stuff. Thumbs up me. I need a lot of those. Plus me. Subscribe. Comment. Whatever you like. You know. can say I'm sexy. Like I said before, I know it, but I still like to hear it. So as always, it's the Don, Tony Teflon, House Teflon. We pull the strings. Peace. I'm out.